Hi.
Welcome to And That's Why We Drink,
Thank
where
you.
we talk and you listen, and you're maybe driving or cleaning or
We see
walking
you.
or
Oh,
doing the dishes.
walking. You show off you.
But whatever you're doing, I know one thing we're all not doing right now, and that's hydrating. So drink right now. Take a drink. Quick, 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 quick.
I have 0 beverages for once in my
See?
life.
We're the worst. We're the worst icons of a show called And That's Why We
Yeah,
Drink.
you should take our advice for sure.
Yeah, please, indulge in some H2O at the very least.
Oh.
What are you, if you could drink anything right now, Christine, what's your little taste buds screaming for?
Listen, I just finished my coffee. It's another early morning for us, Em. It's another 10 a.m. start.
By the way, I'm the one that usually has to wake up at 10 a.m. This
I
is
know,
a
you're
new
like,
thing for
this is
Christine.
normal. I'm like, what is my life?
It's really nice though, isn't it? Because after we record, you get the whole second half of the day.
It's actually incredible. Are you down to wake up at 7 a.m. in California once
No,
you get back?
no.
Because I actually way prefer this situation. Usually when I'm done, I haven't eaten breakfast or lunch, and it's 4:30 p.m. So I'm
That I
like,
believe.
yeah, miserable. But yeah, no, this is nice. I actually meant to bring up a reason because we recorded yesterday why I drink, but I got all flummoxed by my Sweden trip. So can
Flummoxed.
I tell you why can I tell
Yeah.
you why I drink this week? Why I drink
Mm-hmm.
apparently nothing. So I went to Knoxville over the weekend, which I briefly mentioned, the speakeasy I was at. Um, and it was so nice, and I just want to brag on my boy for a minute because he did such a good job in his jujitsu tournament,
Oh,
and
I didn't
I'm
know that's
so
why you guys
proud of.
went.
Yeah, so it was like kind of he didn't like really tell anybody. Like he told me, but like he didn't even tell his family or anything. I think he just wanted to keep it on the DL because it was his first tournament. And so we went down there, and I was like trying to be helpful, but there's like a whole gym full of people, and I didn't know what anyone
I
was doing. I've
I thought
never
you
watched
wouldn't you be
jujitsu.
so helpful in a gym, Christine? I can't imagine you
I know it's
more
hard
helpful
to
anywhere.
believe. Thank you, Em. That's so kind of you. Yeah, you're right. The person who doesn't even have water available in like 100-yard radius is helpful in a gym. So I went with him there, and I've never seen jujitsu. He's been doing jujitsu for like on and off for years, and he's been training really hard, like twice a day. He goes to the gym for like 2 hours each and trains. I had no idea
You
what he
didn't
was
know that he
doing.
does that?
No, I know that he does that.
He takes
I just
Leona and
I just thought he was having an affair. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I I knew he was doing jujitsu, but like I didn't really know what that like I don't know. I've never really watched it, and it
Right.
never occurred to me until I'm in the gym and everyone's like, and all of a sudden he's in this like on this mat, and they're like there's a referee, and they're kind of like go, and they're suddenly like wrestling each other and like holding each other's necks, and then the first match we watched, this guy passes out, and I'm like, oh no, and Blaze goes, oh no, that's normal. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like he lost blood to his brain? Like he lost consciousness? Blaze is like, yeah, just temporarily. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I was more nervous than he was watching this happen. And he did a really good job, and it was really fun. And then that night, finally, I got to buy him a cocktail because he hasn't been drinking alcohol in many weeks because he's been training. So anyway, we had a great time, and oh, apparently I've been meaning to bring this up for like a year. We once talked about jujitsu because we talked about like self defense, and
Uh-huh.
I said something like, "Oh, about the Gracie gym," and you were like, "Oh, Gracie, who's Gracie?" And I was like, "I don't know. She like I'm so proud of her." Okay, apparently Gracie is the last name of like the biggest jujitsu family in the world. And so
LOL.
all the like Gracie affiliated gyms are like a certain, I don't know, jujitsu related thing. But so Blaze was like so mortified because we were like, "Oh, who's Gracie?" And it's like the name of like the brothers who brought jujitsu to America, and
It's like, oh, who are the Rockefellers? I bet they're
yeah,
cute.
I bet it's a cute puppy dog. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically the equivalent of how we were talking about it. And he's like, Christine, I thought you know this, and I was like, oh, I guess maybe in the back of my brain somewhere I knew that. So anyway, that I know he was like so mortified, and I feel like a lot of people listening probably thought we were big dumbos.
Well, I
Um,
mean, there are so many people that go to training rings
I
apparently
know.
that listen
Well,
to us. So,
apparently there are. There's one that I know, and I was shocked to learn about it this
oh,
past weekend.
well, yeah, that's such a he's such an enigma. I can see why
He is an
you
enigma.
married him because I mean, I knew he did jujitsu when I first started
Yeah,
hanging
that
out with
was
you.
in like 2017. Yeah.
And then I assumed once you guys had a kid, it just kind of faded
He
away
never did
because
it again. Like since then, once he started his job in LA, he just like completely stopped. So it's been like 4 years since he had done it.
when did he pick it up again? Only like a couple weeks ago?
No, I think like a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago. A few months ago. I don't know. But yeah, he goes like twice a day. He's like training, then he works out at home. I mean, I don't know. Um, so
Is he
that's
like all
that.
like buff and ripped and
He is.
everything?
He's really, but he's like in the best shape ever. He's really. Meanwhile, I'm just under a blanket in here, like
Right.
drinking wine. But he's living his best life. So anyway, I'm just proud of him. I just want to, and he listens to the podcast every week, so I want to say a little shout out. He probably skipped this because he's embarrassed, but
He heard the
um,
Gracie thing and went, "Oh my god."
oh no, he's like not again. So that's all. That's why I drink. And also Knoxville is a cool ass town. But the last time I was there, I saw that ghost, remember, sitting at the edge of my bed.
Ugh.
Um, he was like
Yeah.
in a tank top, and was just watching me
Just being
sleep.
one of the girlies with this little
Just
tank
being a
top
girly.
in
Well,
a crop.
I said wife beater last time, and then I was like, that's probably not the thing we're supposed to say. So,
Certainly not.
I changed it to tank top. But then, remember, I woke up and I realized I was on top of the bed, and it was like
Yeah.
tucked in under me. Ugh.
Ugh.
So
Wow. Actually, no, I forgot about that, but thanks for the nightmares.
that was your favorite detail. So I went back, and apparently, so our friends Taylor and Morgan, who host Creeps and Crimes, live in Knoxville, and so I messaged them for any like recommendations, and they were like, "We're both separately out of town this weekend," and I was like, "Damn it!" But so they gave me great recommendations, and then when I said where I was staying, they were like, "Oh, that's a haunted hotel," and I was like, "You have got to be kidding me!" But I didn't see any ghosts this time. I only saw one at like the Holiday Inn Express or whatever the last time
The
I
Red
stayed.
Roof Inn.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, sorry that was long, but that's why I drink. May I ask why you drink this week, my friend?
I don't have a reason why I drink.
That's probably good
Um, I know for once. Let
for
me have
once.
this. I'm sure I could scrounge up a problem in my
We
life.
always do, It's hard to believe, but
Next week I am going to the beach with my mom, which
that already sounds rough. To the beach with beach with anyone,
to the
but I don't
to the
know.
beach with anyone. I don't even fucking like the beach. Let's
Yeah,
be
the
clear.
beach is
I hate
overrated.
the ocean. I hate the sand.
There's
I hate
animals in
outside.
there. Did you know that?
Girl, you're making a joke, right? We've talked about this.
I mean, yeah, I like how you hate the animals in there, the fish.
Oh my god. Okay, I was
Yeah.
like, do I have to tell you about my
No,
my
I'm just
intense
saying,
fear?
like, holy shit, have you heard about I don't like it either. I don't have an
Ugh,
intense fear as bad as you do, but I get it.
ugh,
Like, it's not my
ugh,
jam. Not my jam. I went
ugh.
into a
Oh my god.
lake recently. I went to a lake, as I told you, I almost drowned.
Why would you do that?
Remember, I was like holding because I was trying to bring high noons to the people of the lake,
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
aka Renee and Lindsay, and I almost like drowned myself, and they were like, they float. But yeah, so I was in a lake, and that was incredibly traumatic. So an ocean is like, I don't think so.
Oh, I just can't even tolerate it. Literally to know that I'll never be a surfer. Okay. Like there's some things in my
Happily.
life. There's some things in life where I can look at it and it's like I'll die before I know that
So
knowledge
proud.
and I'm fine with it.
I'm so proud that I'll know. I also think sometimes, like, why are people surfers? Good for them, but like the last thing I'd ever want to do in my life is wake up at 5 a.m. to go into the ocean.
And you know what? I'm like my own walking fucking question mark because I love a waterfront view. I love a waterfront view. I love being near water because I like hearing the waves and I like hearing the
Oh, it's
tide and I
beautiful.
like looking at the shore and like the sunsets are beautiful. Like nothing I love more than the view. But if you expect me to stand on a beach, oh
Oh
my God, we're gonna
Lord.
have problems. And so
Oh Lord.
I just can't take it. Also, as I'm learning more about myself in recent years, I'm delving into sensory issues I didn't realize I had. So that explains a lot.
Sure.
I just don't like
Oh,
being
the sensory is bad. I mean, sand.
I
No.
can't imagine someone going to the sand and actually feeling relaxed after being on sand, especially like the ocean is salty, thus sticky, and then you go in the sand, and then the sand adheses to you from the sticky water. Ugh, and you have
It
to shower.
adheses to you. And then
It's true. I just can't even tolerate it. Oh my God.
not a
Oh my.
not a word, but yes, it is true.
Adhesive,
Adheres.
adheres. Thank you. But
Adheses.
I really, my dumbass brain thought adhesives was a good
It's
word.
close enough. We all knew what you meant.
But so my mom is
Yeah, so why are you going there?
good call, especially because not only me, between my mom and Tom, there's 5 of us
Oh
of the
no.
kids.
Oh, I was like, that's not correct between me.
There's 7 of us. There's 5 kids, and not a single child is excited about this trip.
Why are you doing it? I mean, it sounds like the quintessential family trip where nobody wants to go except the parents.
Well,
but
okay, so there we have one who's not even going, which I'm
is that
good
you?
for him.
Are you?
No.
I was like, that sounds like you.
There's one that's not even going. One has like their own really intense sensory needs more than I have, and they're not interested in going to the beach.
But they
Then
have to go anyway.
They have to go anyway.
Oh, too bad.
This is kind of like half of like a graduation present for them. So,
Oh, that's nice.
so like congratulations, we're going to
Here.
the place you hate.
Roll around in the sand for a few minutes. We're so proud of you.
Well, I think it's like my mom wants to have like a family.
Oh, it'll
trip.
be lovely. Linda, I hope you're not offended. I'm just,
No, she's used to all 5 of us going, why are we going?
okay,
So-
good. I'm just joking along.
No, the real answer of why we're going is she like already had like she has a timeshare, and so she already had that scheduled, and so
Right.
she was like, well, while M's in town and there's a graduation, it just made sense.
That made sense. What
And
can I
so-
ask? What town? Like, where is it?
Hilton Head, which I've gone
I
to
love
before.
Hilton Head. I say as we talk about how much we hate the beach.
Well, so in beach towns, and I love a boardwalk. We all know I love a
Oh,
tchotchke.
you love a
We know I love a
boardwalk.
tchotchke.
You love
And we-
anything quirky. Oh yeah.
I love a mini golf. You know they've got it there.
Oh, yeah.
I love anything touristy and awful and
How do you
novelty.
feel about saltwater taffy?
I want to be a fan. I wish I was.
wish I was too, and I
can't do
don't
it.
like it.
I can't do it.
Every
I want
time I
to
go
so
to
bad.
Cape Cod or somewhere, I'm like, okay, this is it. This year, I'll be like, yeah, and I try it, and I'm like, bleh, I don't want it.
I do love every boardwalk's got one of those like holy crap you can smell it candy stores.
Yeah, that's the best.
I do like those.
Yeah.
But I can't get into the taffy.
The taffy is not it for me.
Anyway, so it's interesting watching my mom flounder because she's trying to put together a beach trip for the family where nobody wants to do anything beach. Like so
This sounds like a weird reality show, like a competition show.
it's going to be a lot of I don't know, restaurants. My only request was like whatever the cheesiest, most awful mini golf she can find is. I want to do that.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Everything else I will, even if I'm not having like the best time, I'm gonna smile through because like I know my mom's putting like hard effort into this.
Aw.
But if we don't have mini golf, I will become such an evil person. So
Okay. Oh, good.
I'm trying so hard not to revert back to my teenage behavior because my mom will be there, but they'll come out if
was
I
gonna
don't
say,
get
but
mini golf.
Your mom will be there, so it will happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Wow, that is quite a reason. You were like, I don't have a reason, but here we are.
But if I dig not too deep, we'll find it.
If I just scratch the surface.
Right. No, I appreciate my mom trying, but it was like, try somewhere else next time too.
Somewhere else.
No, I actually I think there's gonna be one day where we like get out of Hilton Head and just go to like another city nearby, which will be fun. We all like
Yeah.
a good city, so.
Love a good city.
Anyway, Christine, that's why
Anyway.
I drank. That's why you drank. Why do you all drink? Just kidding. I can't hear you through my headphones.
Oh, ow, I can hear you.
So many voices.
So loud. 12
but
full voices.
Mom,
Because I have an
the reason
ungrateful child who doesn't want to go to the beach.
honestly, if that was the reason why she drinks this week, I don't blame her. I
Yeah,
get
take
it.
her out to a nice winery and it'll be great. Win-win.
That's what I'm saying. Like all of us, well, only one of us is not of drinking age, but I don't know why she didn't just pick something like that, but whatever. I went to a winery recently, by the way.
You
Had
did?
the best
Seriously? Tell me-
sliders of my life.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the best time of your life. I was like, wow.
Not the best time, but
Sliders. Oh,
good
where
food.
was the winery?
It was in Charlottesville. It was
Oh,
a big
nice.
winery area.
Sounds delightful.
Wow, they had sliders that I still can't stop thinking about.
Ugh.
Oof. Anyway, ready for a scary story? I don't know how to segue out of that.
I think you did it perfectly. I wouldn't
Speaking
have
of
even
sliders,
noticed.
let's slide into a scary, spooky
There
story.
it is. You nailed it.
We're talking about a seminary today.
You know I get creeped out by this.
It's called the Madison Seminary,
Okay.
which made me think, oh, it's going to be in Madison, Wisconsin. It's not.
Wah.
Madison's also just a name, which I need to remember more often. It is in Ohio,
Oh,
Lake County.
it's in Madisonville? Probably not.
That would be very convenient.
That'd be too on the nose. Lake
What's-
County. There's
where
so
is
many
that?
places in Ohio where I'm like, it sounds so generic. I have no idea. Oh, it's up by Cleveland.
Oh,
The Mistake by the Lake.
is that what it's called?
Yeah, well, I'm sure they wouldn't like that, but yes, that is that's the official name of Cleveland.
Mistake by the lake. What a Oh, I just heard something. I need to stop talking immediately. There's something so funny I just thought of a couple days ago, and now I won't remember it. Anyway,
Oh, cool. Good story.
what'd you say yesterday? Quit bragging.
Quit bragging. Lisa Lampanelli original.
Okay, so Lake County, Ohio. I know with Virginia, I like in California. If it's in Northern California, I've never heard of it. And
Right.
in West Virginia, if it's on that little skinny tip, I've never heard of it.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, I mean, and Lake County just sounds so generic.
Like an author wrote that as a filler for now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. Well, in Lake County, Ohio, the Madison Seminary was established in 1847. And the seminary was inside of a very small cottage that was used to host classes for men and women. So the whole thing was a cottage. The whole seminary was
Oh.
a cottage. Tiny house, tiny school. I bet there was technically a one-room schoolhouse.
One rooms. I was just thinking. I'm like,
Ooh.
I'm waiting for you to say it.
Oh, you know I love a one-room
Oh, I
schoolhouse.
sure do.
Actually, I have nothing to do today after this, so I think maybe I'm going to go look for one. Look at me just planning things in the
you
moment.
just
I'm
made
so
my-
avant-garde.
You are so quirky and eccentric and original. But my heart did kind of do a little jump when you said that because that sounds so fun, and I can't wait to hear about it.
My therapist, I said something about being eccentric, and she went, "Let's unpack that next week." And I went,
No,
"Oh, no."
why would you say? She's like, the E word came out.
Well, I also told her that I hate the E word, and she was like, "Interesting. We'll unpack that." And I went, I shouldn't have said anything.
Should have kept your mouth shut.
Okay, so 1847 it's established, and in 1859, so 12 years later, the student body has grown to 150 people. I don't
Oh,
run
my
a school.
goodness.
That feels slow. I
I
feel like
feel like that's a lot in a cottage.
okay, in a cottage, yes, the cottage is overwhelmed.
Right.
I am not at the number of student
You
of the
are
student
not
body after 12
impressed.
years. Only 100,
12 years, yeah.
150 people in 12 years. That's like not even
Yeah.
15 people or 10 people a year.
Oh, that was the total number? I thought it was like by 12 years they had that many in one class.
Oh, maybe that is it.
I
That
don't
would make
know.
more sense.
Slightly.
At any rate, to them, business was booming, and
Okay,
so
good for them.
they had to build a boarding hall and attach it to this. I don't know if it's attached or if it's just next to the cottage, but they have a boarding hall now, so people are living there.
Okay.
In 1891, the seminary is now being donated to the Ohio Women's Relief Corps to house former Army nurses and female relatives of the Civil War soldiers.
Wow.
And that included sisters, mothers, widows, and I guess I don't know enough about that era, but it wouldn't surprise me if, like, If your soldier dies and you need someone to help you live, or you need to move somewhere because they're
Sure.
not there to help pay rent or whatever. That's what the seminary was used for them
Yeah,
to
that
move
makes
in.
sense.
So this is how legislators agreed to help women who were displaced by the war, and this was before there was a VA or Social
Mm.
Security. So this was their way of helping. Eventually, the seminary became the home of the National Relief Corps and was renamed the Madison Home instead of the Madison Seminary.
Ooh, okay.
And the home expanded over time to see. This is the type of businesses booming I'm talking about.
Okay.
12 years. Your thought of like maybe it's 150 per year is different. This one sounds more fancy schmancy.
Okay.
They had to expand eventually to 32,000 square feet of housing and had to create almost 100 dorms.
32 like that is a jump. That is a
Business is
a booming.
booming.
Yeah.
The most famous resident here was Elizabeth Stiles, who is not related to Harry Styles. And I said,
What about
what? What?
Ryan Stiles?
Ryan Stiles? I haven't heard that name in a long time.
I literally brought him up like 5 days ago, and someone was like, "What a reference!" I don't know
Yeah,
why he's
what
in
an
my mind.
obscure name to say. Ryan Stiles, his whole feelings are so hurt right
I'm
now.
like, who's Julia Stiles? I'm talking about Ryan Stiles.
Not Harry Styles, God forbid.
Oh,
No.
Harry Styles.
Okay, the
Yeah,
most
I love Ryan Stiles.
Wow.
I love Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's my favorite show. Okay, just keep going.
You got me. Flummoxed, that was the word you used earlier? Okay.
Flummoxed. Oh my god.
Okay, most famous resident was maybe Ryan Stiles' ancestor, Elizabeth Stiles,
Oh, that's
who
pretty cool.
was a Civil War spy, and her husband were vocally anti-slavery, but Confederate sympathizers did not like that and executed her husband.
Oh my god.
She saw them execute him,
Oh no.
and she would have been executed herself, but she was too pretty to shoot.
Oh, there's so much wrong with all of the above.
If we were to dive in, we would not leave for a
We'd
while.
never come out. Yeah.
So they spared her and her children.
Great.
And I don't know what happened between then and the rest of the story, but apparently President Lincoln himself recruited her to become a spy.
What? Oh, this was so she became a spy after her husband died. Oh, I thought they were both spies.
Her and her husband, no, they were not both
just
spies. They were just
anti-slavery.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I don't know how she ran into President Lincoln. I don't know how he looked at her and said, "You're going to be one good spy." I don't know what happened, but he recruited her himself.
Okay.
And she was very good at it. She was so good at it that one time she got caught and arrested and convinced the Confederate officer that she was actually a rebel spy on their side. And he released her, gave her his own horse and a better gun.
Okay, I'm loving this lady right now.
Yeah, she said, "I'm going to take my pretty looks and do what I need to with them."
Wow, good for her.
But yeah, she was apparently just a really good spy. And
did I cover her at a live show once? It sounds so familiar. Like I definitely covered a spy who would like travel in the South and talked her way out of a bunch of stuff, but it could have been a different person. Anyway, I'm just wondering.
I don't know. I believe no, but I also am just fucking guessing.
I also believe probably not.
It'd be a spooky coincidence, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I bet there's probably more than one spy.
There just might be. The only one I know is like Jason Bourne. Other than that, never heard of a spy in my life. So anyway, she was the most famous resident to live there.
Okay.
In 1904, the Madison home lost its funding and the state took it over and renamed it, the longest name I've ever known in my entire life. It's called the Home for Ohio Soldiers, Sailors, Marines, Their Wives, Mothers, Widows, and Army Nurses.
You were not kidding. I thought halfway through we were done.
How do you even etch that into stone?
Oh my God. That's seriously, it's like they kept saying Oh, what about XYZ? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate how inclusive they were trying to be, but I'm sure one word could have done just that,
And then what
Like
if you forget one at the end? Now you're like, well, shit.
it's the acronym. I tried to spell out an acronym with it, and that
Oh,
still didn't
no.
work. It's HOSSMTWMWAN.
Hasawatawan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Chauncey Bliss's favorite word. So the facility had issues. It just sounds like every time someone gets this property, there's problems. The facility had issues, and then in 1953, the state had to hold a year-long investigation over rumors of sexcapades
Oh, my.
and parties among the staff, who were taking care of Ohio soldiers, sailors, Marines, their wives, mothers, widows, and army nurses. So,
And Chauncey
um,
Bliss.
and Chauncey Bliss. So they ended up having to get new management because I guess the prior staff was having too good of a time.
Hmm.
And in 1962, the home belongs to the Ohio Department of Mental Hygiene and Corrections.
Oh, that sounds like a very scary.
That sounds like One Flew Out of the Cuckoo's Nest or something.
Yes, I don't want to be part of it. I don't want them knocking on my door. Let's put it that way.
The Department of Mental Hygiene and Corrections.
Oof-a-doofa.
Oof. I just feel like anyone who works there is a piece of shit.
Mental hygiene. I just feel like they're gonna scrub my brain with a
That's what I
lobotomy.
think.
Ugh.
And maybe it's just actually like a lovely, lovely therapist who all she cares about is saving people
She's
and
like,
helping them out.
let's talk about eccentricity, and I'm like, no.
Let's unpack that next week. So anyway, it now belongs to them, this building, and the remaining older residents who lived there before it became the Department of Mental Hygiene, they were returned to their families or moved to nursing homes, so that way they could just start out clean with new people coming in.
Oh, okay.
The home was renamed by the Department of Mental Hygiene as Opportunity Village. Okay.
Oh, that sounds like the most sinister Pleasantville bullshit I ever heard. Like the Mental Hygiene Association is like, I know they'll never undercut.
It sounds like it could be like a nickname for like the United States trying to be all the American dream. Like,
yes,
welcome to Opportunity Village.
Or like one of those VHS tapes they would put in like, welcome to your first day on the job.
Yeah.
You may be wondering how you ended up in Opportunity Village. It's like something sinister about that.
No, it feels really dark for no reason at all.
Yeah.
And again, there's probably just some lovely occupational therapist who just really wants to like live out her dream of helping people.
She's just like hand painting like Opportunity Village on a thing, and we're just being such assholes about the name.
Ma, I got it. The job in Opportunity Village. I've always wanted it.
I'm packing up, Ma. Our lives are about to change.
I'll see ya. I will.
What the fuck is happening?
They're being taken over by Opportunity Village.
Oh no, that's getting sucked in. Oh, we lost a good one.
Okay, so anyway, it was renamed Opportunity Village, and someone had to talk like that.
Sure.
And so it ended up housing psychiatric patients that were overflow from the Cleveland State Hospital.
Got it.
Cleveland State Hospital. So by doing this, Opportunity Village became an extension of. I don't totally understand I don't know enough about the logistics of this, but there were patients in Cleveland State Hospital. There were too many of them, so they're now going over to Opportunity Village. But by doing this, the building became an extension of the Apple Creek Institution, and I wonder if that's like I wonder if that was like they worked with the Cleveland State Hospital, or in
like
some
how
way
they came in. Like you don't know how they came into play.
Yeah, in some way, all three of them are connected to each other. Maybe there's the Apple Creek Institution, and that institution is at Cleveland State Hospital. Right. I don't know, but all three of them are working together. Opportunity Village housed women specifically who were mostly independent but couldn't live completely on their own, so they just had some additional needs.
Okay.
And it also housed women from the Ohio Women's Reformatory who did occupational therapy to transition back into the public.
Oh, okay.
There were rumors around town of patient abuse and even one woman being murdered.
Oh, I miss the sexcapade rumors. Those were more fun.
Yeah, you should have just kept the original staff. They know how to throw down.
They were having a good time.
Yeah, it sounds like everyone was having a good time at Opportunity Village.
Amen.
And so, unfortunately, Opportunity Village closes because of these rumors of abuse.
Mm.
And eventually, through the 80s, the building becomes multiple things, including a police department and administration offices. And that being said, now we're all the way into the 80s and 90s, and ghosts have been a thing ever since the beginning of time, since it was a seminary. Ghosts have been rumored to be here all the way back then. I guess at one point, when students lived on campus there or in the little cottage, they had a doctor's office that they built for the students, and there was a ghost that used to show up in the office and would move
What?
objects around and interact with patients.
What?
I don't like
I
that.
wonder why. Like, I wonder how they ended up there.
Especially because with renovations, I feel like you stir up old stuff, but this feels like maybe it appeared with the
Like,
building.
brand new. Yeah, that's bizarre.
But so it maybe it felt crowded with the walls around it. Maybe it was just
Yeah, maybe it was like someone who'd
roaming.
lived on the land before and then was like, "Ooh, a house." I
Yeah,
don't know.
I remember those. I had one.
I had one of those.
Yeah, so they would move objects. It would touch people, and when the building was used as an office space, employees would see doors open and close, lights and sinks turn on by themselves. They'd hear footsteps in the hallways, and they would always feel themselves being watched. But my
Ugh.
favorite thing about this time is that there was a ghost who would, in front of everybody, pick up their phone, the office phone, and it would dial numbers.
What? Is this like a rotary phone?
I guess so. Yeah, it would just. But apparently, people saw this,
It just
and then they would,
lifts. Oh my god.
and it wouldn't hang up, so it would just dial people and then leave the phone there, and you would now have to talk to people. It's literally your
That's
phone
my
anxiety's nightmare.
Yeah, that's my nightmare. That's like a ghost who's trying to torture me. It's just like now you have to explain why you called. Haha.
And they would have to. Apparently, they'd all have to be like, "I'm sorry, I didn't
It
actually
was
mean to
the
call you."
ghost. You get it?
Oof.
My
I could
nightmare.
totally see Harry in your house just picking up your phone and butt dialing someone for you, and then just leaving it open.
I don't give him any ideas. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I think I saw a ghost yesterday.
Shut the fuck up,
I'm
Christine.
not kidding, and it's never happened before. But in the past couple weeks, I kept, you know, that thing where you're like something out of the corner of your eye and you're like, I don't like that. And it's been happening a lot the last few weeks. And since I moved in, it was not ever an issue. But so it's been happening more. And then yesterday I was sitting in my office chair while my brother was trying to fix something over here on the mixer. And like literally the door was open, like cracked open pretty far. And I just saw somebody like walk up to the doorway out of the corner of my eye and then just keep walking into the bathroom. And I was like, I swear to God, my whole body like froze. And I was like, I'm going to look to the right. There's not going to be anybody there. So I forced myself to look and there was nobody there. And I was like, I have to pee. And I got up and looked in the bathroom. Of course, nobody there. But I'm telling you, like a tall person walked past.
Did he stop and like
Paused.
look at you?
Yeah, like paused in the doorway. And I was like,
Ooh.
So I was like, well, it's taller than Blaze.
Ooh.
I don't know. And my brother was obviously, I could see him, so it was not him. But I was like, that's the first time that's ever happened here. So I don't know
That's
what it
some
means.
insidious shit.
Is it like getting
stronger?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's moments like that where if I ever see something in the corner of my eye, every time my gut feeling, and not a real gut feeling, but my fabricated one to make me like be able to sleep at night, is I tell myself, "Oh, I just caught a time traveler."
That's almost scarier to me.
But I always pretend it's
I'm
me
like,
time
why?
traveling.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, why are you in my house, time traveler? Get out.
No. If I ever see something in the corner of my eye, I'm like, "Ooh, I almost busted myself." Ooh.
Okay, I could do that.
And then that way I'm like,
maybe it was you
had
because it was really tall.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
could be you.
Maybe I was on a mission and I was like, oh shit, I got spotted and I had to flee. And then you went looking for me in the bathroom, but I already
You need
left.
to be much more
Careful, I know.
because I can't live like this.
I'm really bad at it over here too. I keep almost getting busted.
Stop. You're freaking me out.
And I keep waiting for the day that I'll finally be recruited to be a time traveler so that way we can get these missions
confirm
cooking.
it. Yeah, you can be like, oh, it was me all along.
Yeah, exactly.
But I didn't tell my brother. And I was like, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. But once you just said Harry, I was like, oh, maybe that was
Hmm.
him. I don't know.
Maybe us talking about him is like opening
I know
something
that's
up.
what
So
I'm worried
maybe
about,
we
and then I
shouldn't
don't
do it.
stop.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
I'll follow your lead.
clearly can't stop myself. So
As long as he doesn't disturb my naps, we're in the clear, him and me.
maybe
So,
that's what you were trying to do in your time traveling. You were trying to check on your nap spot, which is right in
oh,
here, and it
that's
was not available.
to this day I don't think I've ever known a better nap spot in my life.
Oh, I wanted to add real quick, speaking of ghosts, that y'all were right. There was some weird. Did you hear about the audio issues in
I heard about it, but I haven't heard the actual audio issue.
the
But it's
listener
been taken out now,
episode?
right?
It's been taken out. People were messaging me like, you really got me good," and I was like, "What?" And like people thought we were pranking them because at the
Mm-mm.
end when it was like me talking about how
The
I would deal
dolls, right?
the dolls, and so it was a listener episode, and near the end, like all the audio is totally fine. Near the end, I start talking about like this is what I would do with the doll, and all of a sudden my voice turns into this like bizarre, echoey, like it's almost like my voice is layered on top of itself.
Ah,
And Eva and Jack, our editor, went back and listened to the original before he exported it, and it sounds completely normal. So it was just the exported version had this weird, like several
mm.
minutes of me talking in like a creepy double layer. And so people thought we were like pranking them, and I was like,
Nope.
wasn't me. And
And that was
Eva,
we talked about PTD and that.
yes, and I said, I'm not scared to say her name. And
Who said that?
I did, because I'm an
Well, you're
idiot.
stupid.
I
And
know.
look at that. My voice was fine. Look at
Your
that.
voice was fine. And so just FYI, folks, that was not intentional. I don't know what happened.
Oh my gosh. Yikes. Well, anyway, yeah, there are dolls out there. Apparently there's time travelers out there. Christine's seeing things in her house. Yikes.
It's
Well,
a tough time.
once the ghost starts to pick up your phone for you and start calling people and not hanging up, that's when you really need to like bring an exorcist in.
Shit.
So that was happening here. The office phones were getting picked up, and staff had to then explain to people why they
Oh
were
my
calling.
God, nightmare.
Also, many people saw a woman in the upstairs hallway and also started seeing her in the upstairs window from outside.
No.
A Cleveland news station tried to actually film a piece on this place, but their cameras all stopped working at the exact same time.
Oh, she is a good spy.
Yeah, she's like, what are you doing
She's
now?
like, I can disable your equipment.
Well, other recording equipment started also freaking out. And just like how no one was actually calling anyone on those phones and a ghost was doing it, no one was pressing record on a lot of this equipment yet, but the equipment would start recording all by itself random conversations that the crew was having.
Ew.
And then it would stop recording, play back, like rewind, and then press play so that way people could hear
Ew.
their voices being recorded.
Do you wonder if maybe they were saying an EVP and they were like, listen back?
Oh!
Said something into the tape.
Oh, that's genius, Christine.
That would be a very advanced ghost, don't get me wrong, but
To even have the awareness of an EVP to then
like, I
say,
can talk into
I left
this.
you a message in here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
interesting.
don't know.
Or maybe it was like, now you're the EVP.
yeah, right. Here, it's you talking.
But yeah,
about-
that freaks me out for the ghost to have knowledge on how to use a recording equipment and then play it back for you.
What year was this that they were filming or they were trying to do a documentary? Was this like in the tape days?
I
Like
think
tape deck?
I think in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay, so it would have been like quite a to-do to start recording. You have to like put a proper tape in
And also, what if you don't bring enough literal film back then?
Yeah.
Like, what if it like takes away your ability to film, you know?
That sucks.
An anchor actually started trying to film there, saw the equipment starting on its own because the crew wasn't ready yet, and she freaked out and she ran off because it just freaked her out so much. And as she ran off, seconds later, right where she was standing, a window pane blew out of the house.
Oh my God. What? That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
That's dangerous.
One student that worked there actually quit their job because they kept hearing voices telling them to leave.
Ugh. I'd be like, okay,
Yeah, I'd be like, you got it, dude.
bye.
Employees would hear children playing when no one was there, and the sound of people in the halls when there was nobody there got so loud that it started setting off the police alarms.
Oh my God.
One electrician working there saw a woman with dark eyes and dark hair and a white nightgown floating off of the floor. And she charged at the electrician, chased him away into a hallway, and then vanished.
There's something about like them charging at you.
Ugh.
It's just so bad.
I don't like
I'm
it.
still haunted by the story you told yesterday or last week for people listening, where the guy's consciousness moved to the person across the room and then ran toward himself.
Ugh. Ugh.
It's
Like,
gonna haunt me forever, that story.
something was looking at you and charging at you and wanted you to see it from its perspective.
Horrifying. Like my goose cam central.
Ugh. So in 1993, the building went up for rent again, and the ad for it said, "For rent, historic building on Middle Ridge Road can be leased cheap. Caution, building may be haunted."
Wink.
I feel like if you're trying to sell this place and you're trying to pitch it and you already have to give a warning that it might be haunted, girl, read through the lines. It
Just
is haunted.
lean into it, be like, it's haunted as fuck. We're not gonna lie to you.
So haunted, and this is us soft launching that to you.
Yeah. Soft launching.
In 1998, the building was sold to a private owner, and people just started doing investigations on the ground. So as of 98, it's pretty much just for investigations.
Ghosties.
Today, its main use is paranormal investigations.
Really?
And it's said that, quote, "no one leaves disappointed."
I want to go.
You're a mess. After everything I just said, you're like, pack up. We gotta go.
Immediate. Let's go.
You forgot everything we just talked about how the phone thing.
Yep.
The phone, that alone.
That's the magic of my brain. It's very good at compartmentalizing, so I don't remember any of that.
I wonder if the ghosts have kept up with how equipment works.
The times, yeah.
Like, do you think you need to bring an analog recorder for them to turn it on, or do you think they can do it with like an infrared camera?
So when we go, we should bring like a tape recorder, because that's like the old school,
A recorder of a recorder to record us recording.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Eva, did you catch that?
So when the building was a hospital, everyone lived on site, and one of the popular ghosts there was a nurse, or one of the most popular ghosts today is a nurse who lived and worked there around that time. And he's said to be super tall and is usually seen peeking around doors into former patients' rooms as if he's doing check-ins.
That's kind of what it felt like here. Like a tall figure kind of like looked in and then kept walking. Ugh.
Like, you good?
I'm not usually, so he has a lot of work to do.
This tall figure is very possessive of his old room. And today, people do not like going into his space because they feel something eerie there.
Yeah, I get it. Listen, I'm not you don't want me there? Fine.
It's always weird to me when someone says like, "Oh, and he likes to peek around corners," because in my mind, there's like kind of a lunge to that where he's like kind of. It's a little too aggressive, and I imagine I'd be really startled if I saw someone like come out from behind a door that wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah, and it's also like the way it's worded as peeking, it feels like just their top half kind of comes into view, which is like somehow so much creepier.
Yeah, I don't want your full body to be here, but also where is
don't
it?
Get me wrong. But also I'd like to know that it exists.
Yeah. And so it's interesting that it seems like, oh, it's just checking in as if he's a doctor and it's not harmful or scary at all, but don't go in his room.
Mm-hmm.
This ghost is usually very friendly or at least non-threatening, but has been known to be hostile towards people who bother him.
Oh, God. Okay.
So he's like, I won't act unless provoked.
Oh, I don't like that.
In 2016, the owner began turning rooms into time capsules by restoring them to their former glory, which made the ghosts even more active.
Oh, actually, I kind of love that.
Me too.
That's a cool, and then I feel like that's cool to just even visit, to see it.
To at least know, like, oh, what it looked like at the time.
Yeah, it's like your one-room schoolhouse back in its full glory.
I can't even think about it. Elizabeth Stiles, the famous spy, she died in the house and now haunts the Wittenmeyer Cottage building.
Oh.
She floats around in her vintage dress. Okay, girl.
Okay.
And she's eager to interact with investigators. So psychics have had full conversations with her, and she will appear by choice to guests and staff. So not like a random manifestation you catch with you catch by accident. She will at like free will just appear for
She
you.
is a good spy, even now in the afterlife.
Always in hiding until she wants to make her move.
I am impressed. I kind of want to go here.
Okay.
Take me to there, please.
We can go. We can go.
Yes.
We can go.
Eva, write down this timestamp.
But only if Elizabeth Stiles is there, because she seems like a real homie.
I would love to chat with her.
She alleges... No. She allegedly likes the furniture improvements and has moved into her favorite room. I saw one of the sources said that she has vocally given her opinion about the furniture. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Vocally?
I'm like, also...
She's like, next.
I was going to say, yeah, that could mean she gives the thumbs up or she's very vocally not interested.
Not about it. The mid-century modern, not her thing.
Not her thing. When furniture was being put into the cottage for the first time, another spirit of a woman appeared who now is also seen walking around. So I guess she liked the furniture and it kind of brought her back.
Oh my God. So she just was like, boop. Here I am. Nice sofa.
That chair was all it took this entire time for me to get here.
It's weird. Maybe it was a fainting couch. She's like, finally, somewhere for me to rest.
A daybed? Christine.
Oh, I know you love a daybed.
If something happens to me and you don't keep a pillow in your nap section for me at all moments,
hello.
We're going to have a problem.
Although I'm facing it while we record, so if something happens to you and you just like appear right behind my laptop, it's not going to be good for my mental health, but...
Me haunting your house at best is just me hanging out with Gio, and you'll hear snores from that corner.
Yeah, that's true. It's not going to be anything that insidious.
Any yummy food will be opened in your pantry.
Leona's going to love it. She's going to be like, it wasn't me.
Yeah. Also, this is interesting, though, because it sounds like once the renovations happened and they were restoring it, all of a sudden more ghosts... It became more active.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, are the ghosts that were there that we knew about already, did they become heightened in power? Or did we accidentally like bring people from the other side back to become ghosts?
Were they like laying low and they were just like in wait for the right daybed to appear? Or was it like... Or what if they had if they're bringing in period pieces like to furnish the place, what if they were attached to some of the furniture and they got brought?
So they're moving in.
They're moving in.
That makes the most sense to me because the idea of there being more ghosts in this house that just need one piece of furniture to ignite them. That's so
alarming to ignite them. Exactly. It's like, I don't like that they're like waiting to hatch out of their little...
Yeah. It's like they're just waiting for me to bring that one... high chair in or something for them to start really getting it going, you know?
The one high chair. Yeah. So I wonder if maybe they're attached to the furniture. I don't know.
Maybe. The one ghost with the boots in my room, he tried to show up last night.
No. What happened?
I just felt him and I waved my hands. I went, no.
We're too old for this shit now. We're like, come on.
I know him and I have been doing this tango for like 28 years. And I'm like, I just went, no, I don't like that. And then I went, 2 options here. You can stay in this room while I sleep and you don't bother me, or go away. You can have the room back on Friday when I'm gone. And
perfect. Okay. And did he leave?
Yeah, he went away.
Good.
Yeah. So I think we've got an understanding at this point. I think because now I'm probably the age his ghost has been this entire time. So maybe now we're peers.
Oh, he's like, finally you get all my aches and pains.
Yeah. I'm like, just leave me alone for like 2 seconds. Okay. So the furniture has brought these new spirits in.
Right.
And so now there's a third spirit in this same cottage. So in the one cottage, there's Elizabeth Stiles, the spy, and she really started showing up because she liked when they started doing the restorations.
Right.
Then a whole second spirit that we didn't even know about showed up during the restorations because she also liked the furniture. And now in the same cottage that they haunt, there's also a third spirit named Stephen, who is allegedly the son of a soldier's widow, and he died in the house in childhood.
Oh no, it's a little boy ghost. Sad.
But he's got 2 furniture enthusiasts there to help him. He's got Elizabeth Stiles and another woman.
He has cozy places to take a nap.
They have a chosen family together.
That's nice.
He's apparently a real little cutie pie too, because he's not shy and he likes appearing before people and he likes to play games and he is very happy here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
There's a ghost named Sarah who haunts the ward where patients lived, and some say she is a kid, but other people say that she is an older woman with dementia and just has kind of the memories of a kid.
Oh,
But
interesting.
either way, she's very kind.
Oh,
Her room is set up to keep her happy, and people bring her gifts and books and toys that she plays with, and she does respond when spoken to and has said that she's happy.
okay. Well, that's nice.
In 2013, there was an article where a woman said that they were having issues with one of the dolls in the building
Yeah.
moving around by itself. They would just
I
find
don't
this
know what I
doll.
expected, but
I know, like, it could only be so many
like,
things at that
yeah,
point.
what happens next?
Yeah, they were saying, like, we can't keep this one doll from moving all over the building on its own.
I don't
The
think
doll
so.
shows up in locked rooms.
No.
The doll is found sitting in the hallways looking at you,
Nah.
and the doll is found looking out of windows from the outside of the building.
Okay, which is worse, the doll or the woman in the window?
The doll.
For sure. Okay, just want to make sure that I'm following properly.
A quote from the article. If you ask me, the scariest thing about the place right now is that creepy doll. We can never find it when we look for it, and yet a day later we'll discover it sitting at the bottom of the stairs where someone will see it.
Okay, so it's also like hiding from people. This is so gross. I'm sorry.
No, it is. And it's like
Makes me so uncomfy.
I'm like, is something possessing the doll, or is there someone carrying the doll around as like a symbolic, oh, you can see this,
Yeah.
you can see me popping around? Or do you think it's just like that little kid Steven and he's just
Oh,
actually
he's
playing with the
carrying it
doll?
around. You're right. It could be his toy. I didn't think of that.
Like, it could be not meant to be threatening and he doesn't even get that it's so
He's
fucking
like, I'm
scary
in
to
the
us.
window. And everyone's like, ah. It could be like a total accident. This poor kid. Oh, no.
I wonder if he was sitting next to the woman who was getting interviewed for that article and he just heard the scariest thing about this house is that freaking doll. And he's like, what?
Oh. So he hits the like record button. He's probably hitting the buttons on the tape recorder too. I'm
Yeah.
starting to understand.
The third floor of what was the hospital is now said to be one of the bigger hot spots here. This is where patients with more needs lived. And some think that because these patients would have been the most vulnerable to abuse, but that's why their spirits are now the most active.
Sad.
One male spirit here wants people to stay away from his room and will shove people out and does not like being questioned by investigators, just doesn't want anything to do with them.
Oh, God.
And if he is one of the patients who lived here and dealt with patient abuse, can you blame him for wanting strangers to not be in his room?
No, I mean, that's just probably traumatizing for him.
He's probably, get the fuck out. I don't know you. And many investigators who know to leave this room alone or to leave him alone and still go in there will leave with scratches on them.
Oh.
Which, like, I kind of respect those scratches, though. I'm like, it doesn't sound like it's demonic. It sounds like you're not respecting boundaries.
You're in his space, yeah.
Yeah. So, what a shock. Consequences.
And meanwhile, I feel like this is a lecture you're giving me after we walk out. And you're like, what a shock, Christine. Consequences. And I'm like, I know. You warned me.
I can definitely add that into the arsenal of things I just say to you when
you might have to.
When things go exactly as expected.
What was it? What was the thing I used to say? I used to like put it on my little letterboard. It was like, well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
Yeah, exactly. On the same floor is the spirit of another kid who was a patient here, and he's said to be very friendly and communicative with equipment, and he gives a lot of EVPs, which is nice.
Oh.
There are also spirits of twin boys who are peeking around corners at you. That is what I call The Shining.
Yeah, forget it.
That's The Shining.
Ooh, why is everyone peeking around the doors? God.
Well, interesting that you say that because I can't explain the first one where he also creeps people out. But with the twins that are peeking at you, many
Yeah.
investigators say that most of the spirits here are children, and a lot of children, usually if they saw strangers in their home, they'd be really curious but shy to approach.
Oh, oh.
My next thought is that they would feed off of that and something dark could be posing as a
Yeah,
child,
they're trying to
acting curious, so
trick.
you can like egg them on and say, "No, come hang out with us."
It's safe. Come in. Yeah,
A la
inviting
Queen
them.
Mary.
Yup. Ding, ding, ding.
Dumbest night of my life.
Well, 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 if it isn't the consequences of our own
Well,
actions.
look at that. Consequences. Yeah. Uh so some of these spirits will eventually come forward, but after some activity with equipment, it'll kind of go stale again because kids would usually retreat back after some hesitation.
Right.
But of course, there is something darker here, an entity made of combined multiple dark spirits.
Oh, like a rat king. That's what my brain goes.
Yeah, like a rat king.
Kind of. They're all intertwined.
Yeah, so one psychic said that there are a few dark spirits who, I guess, formed an alliance and
Oh,
smushed into each
no.
other.
Smushed together.
So there are two spirits that make up one dark spirit. The first spirit is one who abused patients,
Oh, no.
and the other is the one who allegedly murdered a woman on the property.
Oh my God. So these two assholes are like, woohoo, let's get together and form a
Mm-hmm.
team. Sickos.
So they combined into one really dark entity that people have experienced, and when seen by psychics, it appears as a shadow figure, and it has split in two and run off in different directions.
You just gave me goose camp. Oh no, it splits in two. I'm telling you. Oh, everything about that is bad. Bad, bad. You know,
What if both split off and charge you at the same time?
yeah, what if they come at you from different directions? Oh
Oh,
my lord. I just like
what
I
if instead it was like Elizabeth Styles, the spy, and instead of it being two evil spirits, it was actually three spirits in a trench coat, and she just kind of they would just kind of disassemble and run off when they
and
got busted.
it's those twins and that little boy and they're like, "Oh no, we've been caught." And the doll is like the head of the spirit.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, oh, I don't think I realized that like shadow people, at least a lot of investigators think shadow people are like really dark entities. And
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
I always thought like, oh, shadow person is just like some weird like interdimensional thing. But like apparently the more I watch these ghost shows, the more people say, oh, shadow people are like usually inherently dangerous and dark. And I'm like, oh, so that kind of lends credence to that, what you just said.
I have always heard that. I mean, I've always gone off of like, if it doesn't want you to be afraid, then you're probably fine because it's
Yeah.
trying to. But then again, that little fucking homegirl at the Queen Mary, she didn't want us to be scared, you know?
But we were
So
kind of scared. So maybe
I was a little scared.
yeah, maybe it's like if you genuinely feel at peace.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, anytime I've seen a ghost with my eyes, luckily it was a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it always looked as the real person. So
True.
maybe if it's only a shadow figure, if it doesn't want you to know its identity,
I will say like
it could be anything. I don't know.
the person that I saw in my doorway the other day was like a dark figure.
Ugh.
Like it wasn't like it was just like almost like a silhouette, like a dark silhouette. But I don't necessarily think it was like a shadow person, you know what I mean? Like in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I'm happy. Like, ignorance is bliss in this.
Yeah.
Because if I see a shadow person, I want to have a little comfort that maybe it wasn't that evil.
Yeah. Agreed. Let's just go with that theory.
Well, even if you don't run into that being or beings, a lot of people still feel like they're being watched in the rooms. They feel a heavy darkness in the rooms. And Madison Seminary is now a historical site and functions solely as a paranormal destination. And
Okay.
on weekends, people can do self-guided flashlight tours. Self-guided.
Self-guide. They're like, we don't even want to be part of it. Okay.
Or you can book an overnight investigation.
Wow.
And many people get responses when they ask questions to the spirits in forms of knocks, flashlight
Okay.
manipulation, detector fluctuations. It just seems that someone is always open to communicate with you. But warning, because a lot of people have left with stomach pains, feeling
Oh.
total dread, burning sensations, scratch marks on them, being pushed, all that good stuff. So, um, check it out if you want. That's the Madison Seminary.
Oh Lord. I feel like we should go there and do an overnight. It sounds like you get a lot of activity.
Right? I think we should go even if it's not for like the tour. I think we should go
I
just to see what happens.
agree. Just to like take a little peek.
Just a fun little peeksies.
Aw. Yeah, we'll see what Eva says. If Eva says no, then I guess we don't go. But Mom.
It is interesting that if whatever Eva says goes, if she goes,
It's true.
I don't think so. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't
It
think
doesn't
so
even have to be I
either.
don't think so. It can just be like, and then we'll be like, never mind, you're right. Terrible
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, we're very good at if we don't get immediate enthusiasm,
Correct.
we don't even want to do it anymore.
Correct. We're like, yeah, you're right. We're not doing it. Never mind. We were wrong and stupid.
I'll unpack that next week with my therapist.
Yeah, you have a lot to unpack next week. You might have to
I
push
know.
that one a week. Oh boy, good story. I've never even heard of that. Well, I have a wild one for you today. This is the story of Lori Arnold, aka the Queen of Meth.
Oh my god, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know about her. I'm excited to.
I didn't either. But there's apparently a new docuseries about her. So if anyone has seen that, it may sound familiar. So Lori Arnold, she was born and raised in Ottumwa, which is a small town in Iowa, and was the middle of three with an older brother named Tom, and he definitely comes into play, and a younger brother named Scott. Her parents had her brother Tom when they were just teenagers, and so they were not ready to raise children, especially because their mom was a partier, lived like a pretty wild lifestyle. And so when Lori was three, her parents got divorced, and a judge granted full custody of all three children to her mother, but then her mother relinquished custody to their father. So she got full custody in the divorce and then relinquished it to their father because she didn't want the responsibility of three children who were all under the age of 4. And in retrospect, Tom, the oldest, believes giving them up was the best thing she could have done for them because she just was not equipped to raise them and care for them. So Lori grew up following her brother Tom around. He was only a year older than her, and they were extremely close. She liked to roughhouse, wear jeans, hang out with the boys. In the 60s, she was known as a tomboy type who didn't adhere to the expectations of most girls her age, which, up until recently, I feel like it was a very not controversial. I don't know the right word, but like a hard pill for some people to swallow when little girls refuse to wear dresses.
Oh yeah, somehow it's still shocking to some
Somehow
people.
it's still hard for people. But so in the 60s, you can imagine this was like not cool with a lot of people. In an interview, Lori has said, "I walk like a truck driver, I cuss like a sailor, and I fight like a man."
And she parties like an animal.
She
I know
parties like an animal, that's for sure.
she sounds like someone I want to only go to parties with.
Yeah, well, she is also the Queen of Meth, so be careful.
Oh, never mind. I forgot. I forget where we're heading every time. I always think that you're just describing someone I could vibe with.
But I like it
because
because I feel like you close your eyes and let me just lead the way, which is a very dangerous thing to let me do. So
yeah, you'll be like, and over there are the lava pits, and over here is the
oops,
whoopsies.
Yeah, there's a cliff somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for letting me lead the way. Anyway, when Lori was 9 years old, her dad married their next door neighbor, Ruth. And Ruth had 2 children from a previous marriage and then had 2 more children with Lori's dad. So now they are a family of 7. Lori butted heads with her stepmother, Ruth, who wanted Lori to start wearing dresses and behaving more feminine. But but Lori was very stubborn. She would hide her jeans and t-shirts somewhere outside the house, like under a bush. And then she would leave in a dress, change in an alley on the way to school, and head to school.
Like the quintessential, like high school, what you see in a movie kind of thing.
Yes. Like, sure, I'll eat my lunch. Thank you. And then like tossing it or something on your way to school. Lori did pretty well in school. She played sports, she took accelerated classes, she got good grades, and her classmates remember her as being ambitious and calculating. So this is a wild story, Em. In 7th grade, Lori found out a girl was afraid to walk home because a bully picked on her every day on her route. So Lori told the girl she would walk her home every day to protect her from the bully
Aw.
for the low, low price of $2 a day.
Okay, see, that's what's up, though. See, she said, "I'll help you, you help me."
Yeah, and today with inflation, that's about $20 a day, so that's pricey for
Oh, damn, I
a
didn't even think about
seventh
inflation.
grader. Lori had a reputation as a tough girl, so for the girl who was being bullied, it seemed like a great setup, right? So
Yeah.
every day the girl would pay Lori $2, and Lori would walk her home. Then Lori would drop her off safe and sound, turn around and meet up with the bully and pay them half of the $2. So they both
What?
got paid.
Oh my god, what? What was even the reason?
She was like paying the bully to intimidate this girl so that she
Oh,
could
I
get
see.
paid to walk her home. She's like created this whole racket.
That's great. Oh,
This
I
is
didn't even
such a racket. Like, and she's in seventh grade. I mean,
what a trip. I thought this was a legitimate bully and she was just paying the bully for no reason. That makes total sense that they were in on this together.
no, she would turn around, meet up with the bully, and then they would go get hamburgers together.
I love that. Good for you making a buck wherever you can.
Listen, make that paper, Lori. I don't know what to tell you, but she's really um an individual. So, when Tom was 15, he decided he missed his birth mom, especially because he'd been hanging out at her house and she had no rules. So, she let him drink, have his girlfriend over. And so he was like, fuck this. I'm moving in with mom. She lets me do whatever I want. So, at 15 years old, he moved in with her. And Lori, being 14 and really close to her brother, followed and moved in with their mother as well. Unfortunately, things went downhill from here because her mom worked at the local Elks Club, which hosted frequent parties, and that meant 14-year-old Lori had to start working as a cocktail waitress. And her mom would provide her with diet pills that would give her the
Mm.
energy to get through shifts. And from what I know about diet pills in the, 70s, 80s, is they're basically amphetamine. They're basically speed.
Mhm.
So she was constantly around adults who were drinking and doing drugs, and she was on basically speed and having to work as a cocktail waitress. So basically she matured very quickly. She missed a lot of school, and then she started dating a man who told Lori's mom he was 18 but was actually 23. And keep in mind she's 14.
Oof.
So this man who says he's 18 but is actually 23 had recently divorced his 15-year-old wife.
Oh my god.
And so now is dating Lori. And meanwhile, Lori's mom had remarried a police officer. And this police officer went to threaten Lori's boyfriend and gave him an ultimatum saying, you either marry Lori or you go to prison for statutory rape.
Mhm.
So this guy decided to marry Lori in 1974. And Lori's mom drove them across state lines to Missouri, where a 14-year-old could legally marry an adult.
Oof.
So Lori dropped out of 8th grade and moved in with her now husband, Bobby Rogers. And again, she is 14. So Lori's brother Tom said, I had this terrible feeling like her childhood was over and whatever innocence she had. I got to be a kid. I got in a lot of trouble, but nobody made me marry an adult who was a serial pedophile.
Mhm.
And he basically felt that their mother had almost served Lori up to a predator. And it basically destroyed Tom's relationship with his mother. And their relationship became openly hostile from that point on. And up until her death and onward, he still felt he felt a lot of animosity toward his mother for basically driving Lori to get married to this man.
Mm.
Um, Bobby physically abused Lori, and after 6 months of marriage, she found out he was cheating on her with a 12-year-old.
Cheating on her? Hmm.
I know the wording,
I know those aren't your words, but
but
whoo.
yes, it's almost like how do you even phrase that? Because cheating on her, they are married technically, but she is a child still, and
Oof.
cheating with a 12-year-old is not. That's not what that is. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Big yikes. So Lori called Tom, her brother, to pick her up, and she divorced Bobby. She tried to go back to school to finish 8th grade, but based on an IQ test, the state accelerated her right past 9th grade into 10th grade,
Oh, okay.
which was cool. But she still felt uncomfortable being at school. She felt like she was an adult now. She didn't fit in with the other teenagers. I mean, she'd been married and divorced, right? And now she's in 10th grade. Like, it's
Ugh.
a bizarre scenario to be in. So Lori ended up dropping out of high school and getting her GED. When she was 16, she met a woman at a local club named Shirley who ran a brothel and poker games out of her house.
Wow.
So this woman, Shirley, took Lori in for several years, and Lori said, "No, thank you. I don't want to do sex work." So instead, Shirley had her do drug runs for her.
Oh, good.
Oh, good. So she would go to the pharmacy once a week and say, "I'm here for Shirley's order." And she assumed Shirley had like connections with the pharmacist, and the pharmacist was like on the sly giving her
Sure.
like drugs. But eventually, Lori actually figured out these drugs were just allergy pills that Shirley was selling as speed at the poker games.
Which I wonder if she even judged that or if she was like, oh, another businesswoman. I
Oh,
see.
oh, you want to know? Because the next bullet says she thought it seemed like a good deal, so she started doing the same thing.
I was gonna say, like,
Yeah, you
after her
nailed it.
paying the bully thing is
Sort of
like,
like the ethics are wishy washy, to her. Like, she's like, well,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, no harm, no foul. Victimless crime, I feel like, is where her mind was at.
Sure.
Not quite true, but that's what she told herself. So eventually, Lori was friends with everyone in town. She had a reputation as a tough girl, but also friendly and outgoing. So she was like very engaging as a person. She was constantly partying, which kept exposing her to dangerous situations, including a time when she was 18 and was sexually assaulted by two police officers.
Mm.
So at this young age, she was already in quite a dangerous environment. Then she met a man named Floyd Stockdale. Now, Floyd was the captain of the Grim Reaper's motorcycle gang. And if you research the Grim Reaper's motorcycle gang, there are all these articles about them going away for like 150 years, like going to prison. They have quite a storied past, this gang.
A collective rap sheet.
A collective rap sheet that spans many miles.
Okay.
So this guy, the captain of the Grim Reapers, Floyd, his nickname was Sin.
Stop it. That's so
I
cool.
I
I
know.
told I told Allison I thought that should be her nickname because it's like
Sin?
Sin. Alice Sin is in
Oh,
her name.
Sin. Oh, that's fun.
And I was like, if you're looking for a badass name, in my mind, it's a whole long thing, but I'm convinced that her parents were Hell's Angels. I don't know why.
What? Evelyn?
Yes, in my mind, they're Hell's Angels. I don't know why. And so I'm like, oh yeah, and we've talked. She's got like her own like tough nicknames that we've like played around with. I'm like, I don't know, Sin is in your name, so
I mean, it's pretty good. I
I'm just
used to
saying.
call her Alice Sunflower, so I don't think that has quite the same ring to it.
Imagine the like the movie Joker. Imagine the origin story of Alice and Sunflower who becomes Sin.
My name was Christine Thumum, and Jordan's was Jordandelion.
Remember last week when I thought I was unwell? I was a little mentally unhinged.
Listen, I was just riding that train with you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she meets Sin, aka Floyd, and with a name like Floyd, I imagine Sin is like, a little
Makes
bit.
sense.
It makes sense. And so he was 16 years older than Lori, but they got together. The Grim Reapers, they were drug runners. They were taking advantage of the socioeconomic issues in Ottumwa, and times in town were very hard. And basically, oftentimes when people feel like they're at a socioeconomic disadvantage, there's like any sort of depression in the area, a lot of people turn to drugs. And Floyd was in this business. So Floyd made Lori feel safe. They got married in 1980. They had a son together in 1981 named Josh. And they did not have it easy. Floyd was a Vietnam veteran living on unemployment, and they often didn't have heating or food. And sometimes when Floyd got drunk, he would come home and beat Lori. And the way Lori put it is she felt like she was too smart to be struggling so much.
Mm.
And she felt like she had gotten herself into, and not to say people who are struggling are stupid or, not
Right.
smart enough.
Well, that's
But
how
I-
she felt.
Yeah, but that's how she felt. And I think part of it was like she felt like she got herself into this abusive situation by marrying this guy and relying on him. But not feeling secure
Sure.
or
That makes
safe
sense.
because he beat her.
His name is Sin.
I know, right? Yeah. So, yeah, kind of what you see on the package. So one day, Floyd's brother approached Floyd and Lori, and he said, "Hey, I found this new drug. It's called meth."
Well, I can't even imagine being there for that conversation now,
Yeah,
knowing what meth is.
fly on the wall, like, uh-oh.
When she went from like like selling allergy pills to like,
Literally
I've heard
allergy
about meth.
pills. Oh, it's such
Ugh.
a downward tumble.
Mm.
Yeah, so he gave them 3.5 grams of the meth and told them to split it into quarter grams and sell each quarter gram for $25. As an end result, Lori was allowed to keep $150 as profit. And because Lori was so social and friendly, she easily sold all 3.5 grams in one night at one bar.
Wow.
Like, just
Little
handled it.
hustler.
Little hustler. And wouldn't you know, meth was a local hit.
What?
I know. Headlining in Ottumwa. People in town remember becoming addicted after using it only once, which I've
Mhm.
also heard is sometimes what happens. You try it once and it's
Part of your
so
bloodstream or something.
invigorating and so intense that people almost immediately become dependent on it. One of Lori's friends said the feeling of the high was utopian.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I've heard, man. It's supposed to be really good high. Be really careful, folks. Atumwa relied economically on the Hormel meat. Is that how you say that? Hormel?
That's
Hormel?
how I say it.
Hormel? Can you say it?
I say Hormel.
Hormel. Okay. On the Hormel meat packing plant and slaughterhouses, cute, which employed a lot of the town. So this was like the local industry, right? Lori's father and her brother Tom both worked there, but overtime wasn't allowed, so employees were being forced to work faster and faster. And this is like a meat processing plant and a slaughterhouse. Like, this is dangerous work. And so if you're being forced to finish your work in a certain amount of time, it becomes really dangerous. That's why in 1985, 1,500 Hormel workers went on strike throughout the country for fair wages and safer working conditions. It became such a heated debacle that the National Guard had to intervene,
Oh, wow.
and the police even used tear gas to clear the strikers. The strikes then became protests and riots. The National Guard was using aggressive tactics against the strikers. And then, get this, the company was able to legally fire all of the striking employees. And in the end, the negotiations failed and almost everyone lost their jobs. So, like, the
Oh.
worst possible end result for a strike, just asking for some better wages and better, safer working conditions, uh,
Cash.
too much to ask. So fuck Hormel, I guess. Didn't know much about him before, but fuck that big time. So now in places with struggles, which I feel like I kind of touched on, drugs often thrive because people are looking for a way to escape poverty, lack of healthcare, food insecurity, even just mental health issues that are a result of socioeconomic downturns. And some people even thought of meth as helpful because they felt it cured their alcoholism. They didn't need to drink as much because they had meth now.
Also, there was so little that we knew about it at the time. I
Yeah.
imagine that, I mean, it probably just didn't feel much different than anything else that might have been working, or I don't
Yes,
know.
it's sort of like, well, I cut back on my drinking, which we know is really dangerous and
Yeah.
can kill you, and now I'm doing
And
this
now I'm
meth
just
thing.
happy.
Now the
Yeah.
utopia has set in. Yeah. So, exactly on that note, Lori could not stop moving meth. It basically sold as quickly as she got her hands on it. She and Floyd moved on from Mike as their supplier, Floyd's brother, and started working directly with a supplier in California who had connections with a Mexican cartel. So she's like
Oof.
jumping up the ranks
She climbed that ladder.
real quick. She didn't climb it so much as she just like hopped to the
Right.
top. I don't know how, but she
Leapt like Superman.
one big leap.
Yeah.
They frequently drove on 3-day trips to California to move 10 pounds of meth at a time. And at this rate, Lori was making, get this, $200,000 a week in
Holy
profit.
shit.
She didn't have a bank account, so she was just stuffing cash in her walls of the house.
Wow.
So Lori remembers that she wasn't just addicted to meth, which she did deny, but she did partake, so it's hard to say.
Mhm.
She said she was also addicted to power and money. And the way she kind of reconciled this to herself was that she thought of herself as somewhat of a Robin Hood type character. She started buying cars for her friends. She bought a bar and a 150-acre horse ranch, and she employed all her friends to give them jobs. She would buy up foreclosed houses at auctions and register them as low income Section 8 housing. And then
Hmm.
she would rent this out to her friends, who are usually single mothers on welfare. And then she would use the Section 8 payments from the government to pay off the mortgages and gift the house to the friends who were living in them. So she was really like lifting up the people in her life who were struggling. People close to her saw her as a generous woman. Some even called her a savior. But the big elephant in the room that she decided to ignore was the havoc that the drugs she sold were wreaking in her community and throughout the state of Iowa. So eventually, moving meth from California became too risky. So Lori hired a chemist, built a laboratory in a trailer, and buried the trailer on her horse ranch so you couldn't see it from an aerial view.
Oh
And
my God.
I wrote, it's giving Breaking Bad.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
hiring your own chemist, hiding them underground and saying, make me meth.
Oof.
Uh, and at this point, Lori was able to turn 10 pounds of meth into $400,000 because
Oh my
now
God.
she's making the meth. There's no middleman, you know?
Wow.
So her chemist made several batches a week. And even though she's still considering herself this like heroic Robin Hood type, she made the chemist test every batch on himself
Oh my God, this guy was so just fucking like out of his mind.
out of his mind or just stuck in this position. Basically, she made him check every single batch to make sure it wasn't bad. And she said that way it would kill him before it could kill her friends and neighbors. She just wanted her meth to be safe. So,
I guess that's
yikes.
good. I don't know.
Question mark? Yeah. Lori and Floyd at this point were moving enormous amounts of drugs throughout the Midwest, and Lori was essentially the mastermind behind the whole operation. Floyd, of course, being the muscle, as someone named Sin probably was born to do. People were loyal to Lori as a friend and downright terrified of her husband, so they made quite a pair. The combination of those two, someone who's you trust and who's a friend to you, and then someone who is physically very scary, meant people were keeping their secrets on the DL.
Hmm.
So they were able to hire their own friends as dealers, as distributors. They were able to pay truck drivers to move meth across state lines without anybody snitching. And Lori's younger brother described it, quote, like people created the tech world in Silicon Valley, my sister created the meth world.
Wow.
She basically like s- kickstarted this
Yeah.
whole thing. She, at this point, was so wealthy, she could buy anything she wanted. She owned tens of thousands of dollars in jewelry. She bought land, and this is all cash she has, you know, it's all
Yeah.
in the walls of her house. Like, she's not paying taxes on this.
I forgot it's in the walls of her house. That's true.
Yeah. She bought land, property, cars. She bought several planes, like airplanes.
Planes?
Yeah.
Whew.
She kept making plans to set up some sort of legitimate business to leave the world of drugs, but she was both addicted to meth and to the money and power she
I would be
had.
addicted to the money and
How
power.
could you not? Like,
Yeah, that's so
to
intoxicating.
intoxicating. To turn from that to being like, okay, let's start a business from the ground floor and do everything by the book and pay taxes. Like,
No
I can
thanks.
see why that would be not appealing at all.
Yeah.
So she lived like royalty, especially in Iowa, this small town in Iowa.
Were
But
people not wondering how she was doing
well,
that?
most people in town were involved. Like all their
Oh,
friends
yeah.
and family were like part of this, you
I
know?
would literally the only reason not the only reason I wouldn't do this. Oh my God. But the
Okay,
only
you got one reason. Go.
the only reason in this minute is that I would not be able to sleep every second. I would be so paranoid that someone would snitch.
I know.
Like
It's
someone would say something to the wrong person.
it's so impressive, and like to have such a broad operation, you must have people in such positions that they are benefiting by not telling, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like they must be benefiting enough to not say anything. Um, Especially all these truck drivers they're just hiring to cross state lines, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, it's really impressive. Like, you know, for lack of a better word, it's impressive that they were able to keep this racket going for so long.
Mm.
So she lived like royalty in public, but at home she was really struggling. Floyd was drinking more and more. He was becoming more and more violent. He had actually been a sniper in the Vietnam War. And one day he actually chased Lori out of the house with a gun while she was holding their little son, Josh.
Oh.
And he began to shoot at them. And she was trying to get in the car, and Floyd shot at them with a rifle, hitting the car twice. Lori lied and yelled, "You hit Josh," just so he would stop shooting.
Oh my God.
And she ran and hid with a friend for a few days, bringing Josh with her. But in the end, she went back to Floyd, who claimed he didn't remember the incident because he was so drunk. So, just now we're in this classic abuse cycle.
Ooh.
So that's when a little guy named Ronald Reagan became president. And Ronnie Boy put some restrictions on purchasing P2P, which is the chemical necessary to make meth. And a new law required people purchasing it to undergo screening and fill out paperwork, proving they had a legitimate cause for buying this chemical.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So now Lori is unable to continue making her own product. So they go back to trafficking drugs out of California into the Midwest. So they go back to having that kind of middleman. And in the meantime, the DEA, she did not know this, but the DEA, for those who are unfamiliar, the Drug Enforcement Administration, was closing in on Lori. She was running larger orders of meth across the country than they had ever seen. So they were well aware that this was going on, but they were actually just waiting to strike when they had enough evidence, basically, to
Gotcha.
put her behind bars. Now, this might answer your question too, as to like why nobody snitched. Her cousin was actually the chief of police, and she had always been friendly with local officers who drank and smoked weed with her when she was underage. So she kind of assumed like, well, they're just kind of gonna turn an eye on this, But in reality, she did not know this, but local police were actually working with federal officers to take Lori down.
Mm.
So their goal was to charge her with continuing criminal enterprise. And to charge someone with this, you have to prove that she and Floyd were supervising 5 or more individuals who were committing at least 3 criminal acts and making substantial income. So they just had to prove that they had like this kind of operation running. And like we said earlier, the DEA could not get anyone working for Lori or Floyd to flip.
That's
because
wild.
they were either like so loyal to Lori or so afraid of Floyd.
Sure.
So they just had to wait until they could get enough proof. In January of 1991, federal agents finally raided Lori's and Floyd's home. They took 3 pounds of meth and $25,000 in cash, guns, photos, and papers, and then they left without making any arrests. Basically, Lori and Floyd just laid low for a month, but then nothing happened. So they just got back to business. They were like, well,
that was crazy.
That was a weird day.
That was silly.
That was a silly day. But eventually the DEA approached Lori and offered her a plea deal. They told her they knew everything about her operation and they were closing in on her. But if she would work with them to get them information on the cartels that were sending drugs across the border to Mexico, they would guarantee her a light 10-year sentence. And Lori said, nope.
Oh,
she would not turn on anybody, not even the people out in California who were shipping the drugs. So she laid low again, and they heard nothing from the feds and started to feel safe. So Lori and Floyd decided to go on a month. Well, I don't know if they decided to go, but they went on a month-long party bender.
Yeah, maybe they made a decision to do a one-day party bender and it just extended,
It kind of kept going. And so that lasted until November 7th of 1991. And federal agents ended up raiding their home while everyone was asleep, arresting Lori and Floyd at gunpoint. 10-year-old Josh, this part makes me cry. 10-year-old Josh was allowed to sit with Lori for an hour until his grandmother, Lori's birth mother, picked him up. And Lori tried her best to stay calm for 10-year-old Josh, who sat behind his mom and gently brushed her hair until his grandma got there.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
He just brushed her hair and took care of her until his grandma got there. Lori and Floyd believed they would get out on bonds and just go back to their normal lives. I find this
Why?
really delusional.
They were maybe not totally in the sober
Sober,
mind.
maybe
Yeah.
not. But also, like, twice now, the feds have gotten involved and then just, like, let him be.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, I don't know why they thought they'd get out on just bond, but whatever. That's what they really thought. They just didn't understand the
The
gravity of the
severity, yeah.
situation. Yeah. So 300 officers raided multiple locations in the area, and in the end, 50 to 60 people in connection to Lori's operation ended up in jail.
Holy shit.
And
Wow.
many of
Jail
these
was busy that night.
jail was busy, and many of these people were Lori's really close friends. So this is
Mm.
like a huge group of people. In the meantime, Lori's brother Tom, now this is a fun little plot twist, was living in Hollywood as a successful actor, writer, and comedian.
Wow.
Do you know the name Tom Arnold by chance?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's her brother, Tom Arnold.
Shut up. Wow. Imagine the really cringy, sad bits he could probably do about his sister.
Oh, I know. I wonder if he ever touched on it. He went to rehab to quit drinking and doing drugs, and he'd actually been avoiding Lori this whole time because he was trying to stay sober.
Mhm.
And obviously, she was probably not the best influence. And once he was sober, he married his fiancee, Roseanne Barr.
Shut the fuck up.
That's Tom Arnold's ex-wife now. So she and Tom actually arrived at Lori's hearing in a limousine with $400,000 in bail money.
Damn.
And the prosecutor appealed to deny bail, and Lori and Floyd had to stay in county jail awaiting their trial, which took 2 years.
Oh.
So the DEA told Lori that if she went to trial, she would face life in federal prison with no chance of parole. So Lori pled guilty. She was sentenced to 15 years in prison, and she only served 9 in the end. For a year, Lori's birth mom was raising Josh, but unfortunately, she died at only 52 years old. And so Josh, who's already gone through so much, was taken in by Lori's dad and stepmom, Ruth, who raised Josh in a loving, stable home, which is
That's
just,
good.
thank God, the silver lining here. Josh grew up friendly, active, and sober, which is great.
Right. Yeah, I can't imagine a bigger reason to not even go near that stuff.
Agreed. And you can see it going both ways, like if you're just exposed to it all the time, you can see it just becoming
Yeah.
a normal part of your life. But I'm really impressed that he was able to stay sober through all that. So when Lori was released from prison, she worked 2 jobs, one at the meatpacking plant, which now was no longer owned by Hormel, and a night shift at Wendy's. But as you can imagine, this was nothing like the money and power, glitz and glam she
was gonna
used to
say.
have, just buying planes and horses and doing whatever she wanted. So she started dealing meth again.
Again, girl, come on. Oh, I
Girl.
really thought we were doing something different
I
this
know,
time. Okay.
right? The DEA found out, contacted her brother Tom in Hollywood, said, Tom Arnold, can you please get Lori to stop?
Tom,
Tom,
come on. I know you're busy.
I
Get
know
on the
you're
phone.
busy with Roseanne. So basically, they said, Tom, if you can get her to stop dealing, then we won't bust her. That's our deal.
Oh man, what a awful place to be put in.
Yeah. So Tom says, Lori, you gotta stop, or else you're going to prison. And Lori said, leave me alone.
Okay.
So she was arrested and sentenced to another 12 years in prison. And this time she served 6 years. And the way she described it was the first time she went to prison, she felt there was a purpose and sort of a second chance in her sentence. But this time she only felt ashamed, especially for letting down Josh, who was now in college and had been so thrilled when his mom got out of jail the first time.
Please.
And now she's back in. So she feels like shit. Floyd died of a heart attack in prison only 6 months before he was due to be released. Now, after her second release, Lori went to live with her younger brother, Scott, for a few years until she met a man named Bill. They fell in love, got engaged, and moved to Bill's home in Sandusky, Ohio. Bill knows about Lori's notorious past, of course. In an interview, he scoffed at the headlines that called Lori, quote, Scarface in a skirt. And he said,
God.
well, I've never seen her in a skirt. Which is like the ultimate dad joke.
Truly.
So despite her past, he admired Lori's ambition and attitude. They fell in love. They got married. a very sweet story. In fact, even the DEA agent responsible for taking down Lori's operation said she was a woman who could handle herself in any situation, and she should have gone into a legal business where she would have been extremely successful.
Anything she did, it was going to be extremely
A
successful.
success. Totally agreed.
I think no matter where she ended up, it was not going to be a bad run in
Not
terms
going
of
to be a
financial
boring
success.
journey. Yeah,
Yeah.
or yeah, exactly. So, in the wake of all that she did, Lori faces, unfortunately or fortunately, I guess depending on how you look at it, tremendous regrets. She, told herself she was a local folk hero in the 80s, but now she realizes how many lives and families she destroyed, like
Yeah.
throughout the Midwest. Many of her own friends' children, this is sad, started
Oh.
using meth that she supplied as young as 12 years old. And Lori's business robbed them of the same childhood she herself lost because of
Mhm.
neglect. And so when the arrests happened, an entire generation of children in her community lost their parents to prison. Like if you think like
Oof.
50 to 60 people, just that one sweep of arrests, all those parents' children were now floundering. And so, as a result of that, many of those children ended up in equally unstable, neglectful situations, and then the cycle continued with the drugs. Um, Lori actually learned through a documentary about herself that some of her friends' children and younger siblings have died of overdoses. So she had to learn that from
Oof.
a documentary about her life. After becoming, and these deaths occurred after these children became addicted at young ages to meth that Lori and Floyd supplied their families. So just really, you know, big picture, she was kind of talking herself out of the bad parts.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
looking back, hindsight is 2020. So children who grew up in the drug ring and are now adults remember being exposed to constant dangerous situations while their parents used and sold Lori's meth. Josh, who still deeply loves his mother, feels that he had to grow up too fast and that he was robbed of many opportunities, especially of his own parents when they made decisions that sent them to prison for the rest of his childhood. And he basically had to be like passed around.
Mm.
As of a 2021 documentary called The Queen of Meth, Lori was still living in Sandusky with Bill. She works 10-hour shifts at a factory as a forklift operator, and she said she is now sober for good and that she can't undo the past, but she can learn from it. So, in the documentary, you can actually see Lori and her older brother Tom visit their mother's grave. Tom told Lori in the documentary he wished she would be mad at their mom and acknowledge that she ruined Lori's life. But Lori said she harbored no resentment toward her mother.
Mm.
She believes she made all of her own decisions and caused so much harm that she has only herself to blame. And as for her son, today Josh only hopes that by living a good, loving, sober, and honest life, he can change the way people think of his family name. And he says one day maybe no one will associate him with the crimes of his parents.
Right. I don't
And
think anyone does. I think
yeah,
that's already a success.
I think, I'm sure some people do in his circles, but I don't.
From over here, I don't. He's good.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. So
Ugh.
yeah, that's the story. Isn't that a crazy one?
Yeah, I did not expect Roseanne to show up.
I know, it's such a plot. I love when there's just these weird mini plot twists that like don't really mean anything but are just interesting.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, fun fact, by the way.
Fun fact.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah,
And
it's
it sounds like
crazy.
she's got it together now.
Yeah, it sounds like she's really turned things around and to be the son of the Queen of Meth and Sin of the motorcycle gang, I imagine is quite a childhood. Like I don't know if
Yeah,
he's interested in writing a memoir, but I'd probably read it.
I feel like his therapist every week tells him we're gonna unpack that next week.
We're gonna, yeah, there's a lot there. Yeah, it's gonna be a while.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah, I'm just really happy for them. And, you know, you live and you learn.
And that's why we drink this week.
That's
I don't
pretty
know.
good. I feel like we could have just ended, but we didn't. So,
Oh, well, thank you everyone for listening. And Christine, you're about to go on your trip. I'm not gonna see you again
I
until
know.
you come
I talked
back.
to my brother yesterday. He's like, see you in Munich. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my god,
That's
yeah.
so trippy.
And your little baby's gonna have a passport.
Oh, she
Ah!
does. It's so funny because in the photo we had to like get our hands out of it, so it's like her kind of just floating head. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for you. I'll see you. I mean, everyone else is gonna hear you just next week, but I'll see you in quite some time
In
from
quite
now.
some time. And folks, come to Patreon. We are doing little true crime and ghost themed episodes there now, bonus episodes where we talk about true crime cases, ghosts,
Spooky stuff, spooky
spooky
news.
stuff. We're trying to make it more themed to the podcast, so come there for extra bonus content.
And
That's
why
we
drink?
we did it.